Hi, you're listening to the Taking Ground podcast, connecting you to the many excellent churches, ministries and people within our wider family. You can keep up to date with the latest from Taking Ground at takingground.org.uk and never miss an episode of this podcast by hitting subscribe. But for now, here's your host, Rachel Broughton.
So today I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with Allan and Toni Fraser from Embrace Church Darlington. Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. This actually isn't the first time I'm having this conversation with you. Funnily enough, the last time we recorded there were some technical difficulties, so we're having this conversation again. But as we know in the kingdom, God never wastes anything, does he?
No,
and
right.
actually this is going to be a really different conversation to what we had last time.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm speaking in code maybe to people who don't know the context, but before, when we chatted, you weren't in your new building, you weren't meeting where you're meeting now. There's lots of change happened for you guys, but before we jump into that, let's give everyone some context. Let's find out about you guys. Hi, who are you? Tell us a bit about who you guys are.
Who are you?
Who are you?
So, I'm Allan, married to Toni. We've been married 25 years. We head up Embrace Church in Darlington, part of the Taking Ground family. 2 children, both grown up. One of them is married with a son of his own, so we're grandparents
Wow,
to one
congratulations.
boy, which is great. That's me.
That's you.
Our daughter recently has gave her life to Jesus.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a big event for us because
Yeah.
it's been years of praying.
Yeah,
Years of praying.
Wow.
And years of heartache and
sure.
just longing for her to get hold of what it is, and
Yeah.
so absolutely fantastic.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's a highlight of my year.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably 5 years. I don't know.
But yeah, the past 5 years, yeah. Oh, so good. And so do you guys work full time for Embrace Church Darlington? What's your...
No, so I used to work full time for a previous church I was involved in, which wasn't part of Taking Ground, was part of New Frontiers,
Okay.
a great stream of churches.
Yeah.
We left that when we launched Embrace, so we both work. I have a normal job full time, and Toni is self-employed as a British language interpreter. So church is kind of on top of that,
Yeah.
which is busy but great.
Yeah.
I love it though.
Yeah.
Like, it's purpose-driven life, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Nothing's like wasted or
No,
anything like
no.
that. Even like hardships, and it's not wasted.
No.
Hindsight's great, isn't it? You look back and you see God's hand all over stuff.
Yeah.
And, leading Embrace, it's no different. We go through trials and tribulations, and at the time it's, oh no, this can't be
Yeah.
of God. Then praying, but actually you see God's hand in all things.
Yeah,
really,
of
just
course.
maybe not at the time.
Yeah.
Not at the time.
So when did you guys start Embrace Church Darlington?
It was actually almost 6 years ago,
Okay.
which I don't know if that's quite long in the life of a church. I don't suppose it is really. But of course, in that 6 years, we had the very unusual event of COVID,
Yeah.
which after COVID, it actually felt kind of last March. It was almost like starting again. Last year
Right,
was almost
yeah.
like starting. It wasn't starting again, but it felt like a church plant all over again. So in one way, I feel we're about a year old.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
it really feels like
Yeah.
that because a lot of the people have changed and people coming out, people coming into the church. It does feel almost like we're a year old.
a bit wiser though. A bit wiser.
A bit wiser. Yeah, maybe.
Is it like having a second child, maybe?
Yeah,
Like when
I
they
guess it
reach
is.
their
Yeah,
second birthday,
yeah.
you've been parents for maybe
Yeah.
6 years,
Yeah.
but you've got a 2-year-old.
yeah.
Yeah,
It actually is a bit like that.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about the life of Embrace. What does the community, the worshipping community of Embrace look like?
So we went into Redhall, an estate in Darlington, and by any measure, you're looking at things like number of children on free school meals, people who leave education with no qualifications,
Sure.
unemployment statistics, sickness statistics, single parent statistics, all of those things, Redhall ranks very highly.
Okay.
And when we were talking with the community centre manager in Redhall, she informed us that not only is Redhall one of the most impoverished estates in Darlington, statistically as a fact, not only is it one of the most impoverished estates in the UK, it's actually one of the most impoverished estates in Europe, she informed us, according to the most recent census statistics.
Yeah.
But we felt called there, so God, the little bit of God's worldwide church called Embrace has been called to that little bit of his world called Redhall in Darlington, and he's matched us together. And we were meeting on a Sunday morning, like churches often do. Nothing wrong with that. But as 2 or 3 people started joining us from the estate, they were telling us that they've invited all their friends from Redhall to come to our church, but they don't do Sunday mornings.
Sure.
So we
mornings
made this.
In general.
Yeah,
Mornings,
well, we don't do
yeah.
mornings in general, least of all Sunday. So we made this, which in one sense it's a very simple step, but in other ways seems quite a radical step of basically doing our church on a Monday night. Okay, in the Redhall Community Centre.
Yeah.
That's when we have what might appear to be like a kind of church service.
Yeah.
Always start with food, never a bad thing.
No.
So come along 7 o'clock every Monday night, Redhall Community Centre. You will get, a 1-pot dish of some kind,
That's
curry,
amazing.
chili, pasta. Then we have worship. Then we have a talk, and then we have some response time. We still do meet on a Sunday morning. But that is very much for those people who would already call themselves Christians, are kind of established members of Embrace. And our Sunday morning is much more like what we used to do midweek.
Okay.
Bible study, more in circle tables, much more
discussion
interactive. All of that. So we call Sunday morning Let's Grow, because that's when Christians are growing together. And we call our Monday evenings Let's Go, which is when we go into the world and preach the gospel, the whole Matthew 28 thing.
I like that. Let's grow, let's go.
Yeah. That's basically our mission. That is
Bit of
who
a
we are.
strapline,
Well, Let's Grow on a Sunday. Now, we'd never turn anyone away on a Sunday.
Of course, yeah.
But, we would say Monday might be perfect for you. Come on Monday, depending on who the person was.
Yeah.
So that's kind of who we are. We're small in number, but we're a tight group. We've got a good group. And God grows things, doesn't he? So we're not doing this in our own efforts. We know God has called us to Redhall, and actually we're just doing his work. And whatever happens numbers-wise will happen. We're just doing what he's called us to do.
Yeah, it's important that, and God reminds me of this, is like, we lead in Embrace, and there's a temptation to run around sorting everything out and hold tightly onto Embrace where it becomes so important that God doesn't have access to it, and I'm telling God what he needs to do. We need
It's a temptation
We
for
need
us
this
all,
God.
isn't it?
We need that God. Yeah.
Here's my list of to-dos, God.
Yes.
Would you kindly?
There's no kindly about it. And so he's taught me, and he continues, and he will do for the rest of your life, because I think it's part of our nature, not just mine, is what he gives you just to keep it in the palm of your hands, open in the palm of your hands.
Yeah.
Because when you start closing it, you're looking after something that is not yours, or you're not
And you actually
capable.
make I'm just looking at your hands there as you clench them. You make what's in it small.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
very
Because
good.
you're clenching it and you're tightening, and actually when it's open, there's opportunity for it to grow.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's a really powerful picture, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
I was running around trying to be everything to everyone, and it's it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I was kind of in a way looking to God, thinking, you put us in this position, I can't do it, and that was the point. He's put us in the position because I can't do it, because we can't do it.
Yeah.
It's because he's doing it,
Yeah.
and we're kind of facilitating what he's already setting up. So. Yeah, I've wrote that down, so when I get to that controlly stage in my life again, I'll go back to it.
Yeah.
Open
Yeah.
hands, Tony. Open
Yeah,
hands.
good. Yeah. It's easy to think, where's this easy yoke that you promised me, Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm the one who's making it heavy.
Yeah,
I need
that's
to open
exactly
my hands
that.
up again and let you lift some of that
Yeah.
load. Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really
Something
good.
I'd like to mention about our transition from a Sunday to a Monday in Redhall, which I wouldn't say our church met that with resistance, but there was a conversation to be had. And we had to be actually quite firm in saying we are doing this.
Yeah,
We are having our outreach on a Monday night.
yeah,
And I think Tony summed it up. Tony said, before we can go to Redhall and speak our language, and you know what I mean by that, our language of Jesus and salvation and forgiveness and freedom and this new life,
yeah,
we have to speak their language. Why
Yeah.
should they listen to us if we're not listening to them?
yeah.
And their language is not Sunday morning. Their language is something different.
Chilled afternoon, evening.
Yeah, yeah.
Food.
So Monday
Yeah.
Monday night became us going into their world, and speaking their language, and we do other things alongside that. So we go to the bingo, for example, in Redhall
Yeah.
Community Centre. One, because I love bingo, and two, because...
Listen, Alan, I'm not going to judge you for that.
Yeah, and occasionally we win, which is even better. Can't complain. But two, actually, you're just meeting people, you're making friends, and they don't even know you're part of the church, and then it just crops up in conversation weeks down the line.
Yeah.
You know, it's that sort of thing. And for me, that summed it up, Tony, when you said, we've got to speak their language before we can expect them to listen to our language.
Yeah.
You could be so set on your own plans,
Yeah.
can't you? Your own like strategies, your own, and you kind of disregard other things because you got like I'm quite a target. If there's a target, I want to meet it. So it can be like that in our planning.
Yeah, sure.
And kind of not deviate from that, not being. It's like the cleansing
Holding,
your hands again. So it's just letting go and letting them lead it. To be honest, isn't it? Letting them lead it so they don't do Sunday mornings. I mean, I wouldn't if I didn't have a choice. You know, so let's go on the night and see where God takes it.
So how have you found that transition? Obviously there was a conversation to be had in church. It takes a little bit of time to change your thinking from, okay, we're going to do everything on a Sunday morning, to actually, no, let's open this up, let's do this on a Monday. How have you found community responding? And obviously you guys are listening to God, and that was in response to what you felt he was prompting you to do. So how is God moving through that Monday? What are you seeing?
I think enhancing friendships, definitely. I think people who, I mean, obviously if you're around people, you get to know them, but you know that they're quite vulnerable people, and they're beginning to like give us bits of them, and we give them bits of us, and so that's enhancing. That's only a good thing. There's been quite a few people now. I think we've had from Red Hall 3 or 4 salvations.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah, they're on our Embrace Messenger group, and 2 of them are kind of like they come now and again, but they have access to all the prayers that people are praying for each other. They've got access to, and even though they don't contribute to that, I know they read them because they said, "Oh, how's whatever?" when I've seen them. And that. So it's amazing. So how's it like? It's just that fellowship with people, meeting with people, with coffee, like. You know, trying to make your Christian life every day to show them that it's an everyday thing. Like, have you prayed for that? No, I said, well, let's do a minute's prayer here, there, and everywhere. And people kind of it becomes like, oh, Tony would say that, or Alan would say that, and then eventually it become Jesus says this, Jesus says that. I don't know if that's an answer to the question you meant.
No, it's great.
We have another, when I say couple, I don't mean a married couple, I mean a couple of individuals who have really thrown themselves into the life of the church though, and one has gone right through to salvation and got baptised. We baptised just before Christmas, wasn't it?
2 of them, wasn't
Yeah, there was one from Red Hall and someone who's been a Christian with Embrace for years actually, since the start, who also hadn't been baptised, got baptised together.
That's brilliant.
So it's
so encouraging when you have
those
it's
great
times.
And it's like anything with God, isn't it? You there's a healthy dissatisfaction almost. You want more, don't you? And I don't think God's unhappy with that. We always want more for him and for his kingdom, and for more people to know him, and more people to experience the life of forgiveness and all of that. He can set you free from addiction, all of this. We always want more. So like we're loving what's happening, but we want more. We're keeping going because we want more.
yeah That's great. And church is also, in terms of your outreach and the way that you engage with community, you are engaging in a particular estate, so you're looking at Red Hall, but you're also engaging with another type of community, aren't you? Tony, do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've got a deaf community who come, 6 who come. So what we've started doing, because every fortnight was a little bit too much for me to interpret, I don't have any help in that. So what we've started doing is I'll interpret once a month, but then once a month as well we'll go for a BSL breakfast, which is not hard. So great. It's just like conversational based, isn't it? And bless him, Alan comes as well.
And I do a little Bible study in that.
And you interpret that. Brilliant.
And they really, really appreciate it. They really appreciate the God slot. There's an opportunity. They love the stories, and they love how it's made applicable for today. And they absolutely love that. So I would say the BSL breakfast probably are more. what's the word I'm looking for?
I would say more valuable in their church life
Yeah.
than the Sunday
The
morning
Sundays.
for
I mean,
Well, there's community in that
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
So you're a British Sign Language interpreter, and you
Yeah.
do that for your job, but
Yeah.
also you're using that in part of your church. So how did you get involved with British Sign Language? Why did you learn BSL, and how did that happen?
So, when I was younger, I used to live next door to a deaf family. I mean, it wasn't one person deaf; it was a whole family
Yeah.
that were deaf, and so like my interest came from there, seeing the flashing lights and like, what was going on here, and like they'd talk to me, and I wouldn't have a clue what they were saying. And then I went to college to do GCSE English, and there was a deaf person there, and like I didn't do my English because I was just watching the interpreter there.
Yeah.
And then different things that I took on, I can't even remember what it was, but there was a deaf person in each place. I'm like, I become a Christian, and I thought, you're
Beginning
in
to
this,
join the
God.
dots,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then King's Church moved, and then when I went to their, like kind of the bigger venue, I went there, and then there was an interpreter there. I'm thinking, all right, I get it. So I went to study. It wasn't plain sailing.
Yeah.
It takes 7 years from no skill to qualified.
Wow.
I took 20 odd.
Yeah.
But in between, I was bringing up the kids.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was working at Stockton Riverside College, and so I was kind of homing in on the skills. So by the time, and I didn't want to become an interpreter, I thought it was just beyond me. I couldn't do it. But you know, God is so good. Like, and I would not have been able to do it if I didn't have God in my life, or you for that matter. I just wouldn't be able to do it, and it was so hard. But every anything that was thrown at me, I got through it with God.
Yeah.
It wasn't my own. It
Yeah.
was with. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And my interpreter training was the hardest thing I have ever done
Wow.
in my life. Essays, videos, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm a visual person. I'm fluent. I sign very well, and I've been fluent like before I was an interpreter. I'd like had skills
Yeah.
there, but the academic side of it, the writing, the essays,
hard.
I'd never done it before. So, you know, like I'm
Yeah.
not. But I passed with distinction on all
Wow.
counts. It was amazing. I was
yeah.
like,
Sometimes taking your time to do something actually is in
Yeah.
God, and it's success in and of itself, isn't it? That's amazing.
we used to go for like once a month. It was a residential weekend once a month, and I really struggled with being around people. I needed space, and you know, people oh, come on, Tony, and like, you know, it was really hard, and I kind of my self-confidence wasn't that great. And God gave me a song, and you know, like the same song, and it was a spontaneous song from Bethel. It was great, and I held on to it. You are faithful. You were able.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff, because you know I didn't. Yeah, I just couldn't believe that I passed it, and
That's
I have
amazing.
never looked back since. And you know what? I don't hold. My Christianity is always there. So if I'm like with a patient, and I say, can I just? There is a bit of hope there. Can I just say I'll take my badge off because I'm not at work.
Yeah.
And then you know, so I've had a lot of conversations, and our deaf folk have had conversations as well. And there's 2 people kind of in the pipeline who were thinking about coming.
Lovely.
It's just amazing what God can do.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's amazing that God uses the skills that we have and the interests that we have and that natural curiosity that you had about it. God uses everything that's in our hands. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So for you guys, as you've developed, you know, this community stuff in Reddell, you've got the deaf community. What would you say are your biggest encouragements as a church at the moment?
I think, well, I'll be personal first.
Yeah.
And our daughter coming through
course.
on an alpha course
That's amazing.
was amazing. That was just before Christmas.
Was that with you guys as well?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, she had, sometimes it's who you know, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not what you know. And so she'd do the alpha, but then come back to our house. She doesn't live with us, but she'd come back to our house and ask another 101 questions.
Good.
So
That's
she had that
great.
little extra
Yeah.
bit of, wouldn't she? We'd be like 10:30 at night. We'd be like literally sat in our bed falling asleep, and she'd be sat at the end of the bed saying, so what about this and what about that? It was just amazing. But she's like really moving on in her own faith. Like she's hearing from God. She's writing it down, saying, I had this
amazing.
dream. And she reminds me of Tony in many ways. Very visual, very gifted in that way, really. So that's just great, you know, when something personal happens, it just gives you a boost in all areas of your life.
I was going to say, it lifts you in every area, doesn't it? Yeah.
To see some people from Red Hall actually come through to faith, because it's lovely to get help from Christians who live elsewhere, who've joined us and whatever else, but, you know, we believe we were sent to Red Hall to have an impact on our state, so that's been encouraging. And as much as we're trying to embrace Red Hall, I feel Red Hall are embracing us.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're befriending us. It's not just us befriending them.
It feels
you know?
very mutual.
Yeah,
That
they're saying, come along to bingo, come
amazing.
along. You know, they're embracing us. The Red Hall Community Centre manager, Sophie, has been fantastic. A big shout out to her because she's just so encouraging of what we're doing. Like,
and are you meeting in that building?
We're meeting in Red Hall Community Centre,
Great.
So we're right in the thick of the estate.
Yeah.
You know, so that's great. There's just such a lot happening, and the BSL is growing as well. And I feel there's a whole lot more there yet to come as well. I think that maybe that isn't specific to Red Hall actually. Yeah. That's just where the BSL group meet in a sense, because that's very much Darlington wide and beyond. I think there's something for Tony there, particularly way beyond Red Hall and Darlington. Just lots going on, and I will shout out for Shan, who was the first one really to Red Hall, who joined us, became a Christian, got baptised, and she's just part of the furniture now. She's
like a flower, blooming flower. It's amazing.
She's as much part of us as anyone else.
That's so
great.
great.
And Kirsty as well is kind of on that journey as well. So yeah, it's just great. It's just blossoming.
And you're going to the school as well?
Yeah, I do assemblies in school and stuff in the local school, which is literally 25 metres. Our front door is 25 metres from their front door. As they drive into school, they pass our banner to go into church. So probably 1,000+ people see the Embrace banner every day, all from Red Hall. Yeah. And that's going well, School, have a good relationship with the school. So lots of good stuff there, isn't there?
Mm. Wow, so for you guys, it's busy. You know, life is full. So you're both working, you're doing assemblies and church. And what would your biggest prayer requests be? So if people are listening to the podcast today, they might be driving or cleaning the house or whatever they're doing while they're listening to you guys, how could they just pray for you now?
I think because language is my thing. I think there's more languages that we need to. I don't mean like spoken language, sign language. I mean there are ways that I don't think we're hitting a specific thing. So we have meals, and we've done the morning, the evening thing. So that's set. That's that language. But I think there's more that I don't know about. Sure. So I want a bit of insight of what more we could be doing.
Yeah, God, show us more
how
to speak the language.
Now I know that there is, there's plenty of children on Red Hall, so we would need help in that. We need prayer in that, because we're a church of few, really. And I don't think we've got the people. We haven't got
work as a few in that sense. Yeah.
Do you know, when you've got the PA and you've got the music and you've got the speakers and you've got the kids work. Yeah. So provision is the word for that, and understanding of different needs and languages and stuff.
Definitely. Definitely.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We need. Again, this is like God, tick
here's
this,
my
please.
list, God.
But God builds His church. He promises that. People who are established in their faith, people who are established in their gifting, people who perhaps even now listening to this might be feeling a call to come and be part, even just for a season, of what we're doing in Red Hall, who could come along and say, I can lead worship, or I can do some kids work, or I can do whatever it is. Because on a Monday night, the evening starts theoretically at 7, but we open the doors at 6, and at 6 o'clock we just get kids off the estate come along. And we don't really have a plan with them. We put out craft and drawings and buckaroo and all of that, and that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it?
They love it.
They love it. But again, it's like we need to take that somewhere. People establishing the faith with gift to have a heart to come and join us.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's not just about manpower. You can put somebody on a job, fine, but it's not about rotas and getting enough manpower. It's actually about somebody who's got a heart to see God do something in the lives of children, young people, or in whatever area it is that they serve. So I think we can definitely be praying for that. That's
One
amazing.
prayer thing as well I'll add is there is something that I've never seen before in my 25-ish years of being a Christian. There is something happening in Darlington amongst the churches that is better than I've ever seen, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with that or where it's going to go. But even just this morning, we met with a couple of other church leaders from Darlington, and there's just a heart connection happening that I don't think I've seen before.
In terms of unity between the churches.
Unity, encouraging each other, wanting to work together,
Great.
and having a heart for each other. You know, I think, so that's great. Just pray for Darlington, because something is happening, something really good.
That really is the kingdom of God, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely.
Guys, at the end of every podcast that I do, I invite my guests to share a worship song that is just speaking to you at the moment. Perhaps it's one that you've heard for ages, but God's just highlighted a particular lyric or something. Do you have one for me?
I do. It was different for the last time.
Okay,
we
great.
do. It's ever changing, but it's "I Believe" by sung by Bethel, Jonathan David Helser and Melissa Helser.
Okay.
And it's, I believe in the blood of Jesus that washes white as snow. I believe in the power of the gospel still makes the broken whole.
Yeah.
So it goes on, and then it says, as I bow down before you, Lord, I will rise in confidence.
Wow.
As I bow down, I will see your goodness, Lord, in the land I'm living in. No matter where I go and no matter where I've been, I will see your goodness, Lord. And whoever's listened to this, I'd encourage you to YouTube it. I Believe by Bethel.
Yeah.
It is an amazing song. When I do the worship on the Monday, that's all I hear. That's all that
On
song.
repeat, on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Amazing.
I'm driving the car and I'm feeling the Holy Spirit, and I'm only listening to it. I'm not singing towards it. I'm like, oh God, you're so good. When I bow before you, I'll rise in confidence.
Yeah.
You know, amazing. So that's
great. Well, it's been amazing to talk to you, and amazing to be encouraged that actually wherever we are, whatever we've got in our hands, God's going to use it, and He's going to do what He's going to do, and we might come to Him with our list and want Him to tick everything off, but actually, no, let's keep open hands. Let's surrender it to Him and trust that He's going to do exactly what He wants to do with Embrace Church Darlington.
Yeah.
Whatever He wants to do with you guys and with the community that you're building there, that's absolutely fantastic. Bless you. Thank you so much.
We hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you've got a story to tell, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear it. You can contact us at podcast@takingground.org.uk. See you next time.